If you're feeling anxiety, there's actually a place from which you can just feel it and be actually indifferent to it or anything else you could be feeling. First, you can notice that anxiety isn't even that unpleasant. It's so close to excitement in its actual physiology that really the difference between excitement and anxiety is more or less just the framing. It's just the story you're telling yourself. If you felt these tingles and this slightly adrenalized response right before you're about to go on a roller coaster, that's part of why you're going on the roller coaster. You like that experience. But the fact that you feel that way when you're about to have an interview or you're about to walk out on stage, that's intolerable. So just dropping back and realizing the power of the framing, again, this is a skill that is a fairly esoteric one, but now many people are learning it. And it has immense utility because then you can realize that the half-life of negative emotions is incredibly short. The moment you begin practicing mindfulness, which is just learning to pay close attention to the nature of your experience. You're not adding anything to your experience. You're just noticing what it's like to be you moment to moment, but in a way that is not reactive. You're not grasping at what's pleasant or pushing what's unpleasant away. To make this concrete, let's say you have a fear of public speaking out on stage and you feel anxiety. The default state of someone who doesn't want to have that experience is to try to figure is one to in advance worry about that experience. The anxiety is kindled just by the mere thought of what you have to do. Then once you feel the butterflies, you are at war with them. Your mind contracts around it. Your conversation with yourself is an unhappy one. The only thing we can do to really upgrade our firmware is to just add new content. We can read books, but there's nothing at the sort of root level of our emotional and cognitive life that can change. And so mindfulness is a way of dropping a little bit lower and realizing it is a lot like jiu-jitsu for the mind. What's so beautiful about jiu-jitsu in particular is that you can have this massive effect in the domain of violence. It can be incredibly relaxed. That's largely what meditation is, because basically the default state is one of being attacked and ambushed all the time by your thoughts and by your reactivity and by you are being taken in by assumptions and illusion. Even when you learn to meditate, you're in this fog most of the time. So the practice is one of continually breaking the spell. You are constantly on the mat, constantly finding yourself in a position of some surprising disadvantage. Like it's all of a sudden there's a rear naked choke that's 3/4 applied, and you need an answer for that. And not knowing the answer is just synonymous with death. There's the experiencing self and there's the remembering self. And the remembering self is the self that you're talking to when you say, are you satisfied with your life? Whether you're asking yourself or someone's asking you. And the answers that are available in those moments really determine whether or not somebody has a kind of global life satisfaction, whether they have meaning. And most of life is getting summed over this lifeline of the experiencing self. And their questions of meaning and a kind of global story to tell yourself about what this is all about are far less important than people think. You have to get behind yourself and push to exercise and to socialize and to do things that you may not want to do because those are good for you and can break you out of it. But the normal range of psychological suffering, not clinical depression, but just feeling life sucks and you're a failure and you're stuck, that is a story of telling yourself a story. You're thinking, and you can either become more and more mindful of that and interrupt that more and more. You can reframe this continually and tell yourself a better story. You can actually just engineer, you can change the code that you're running moment to moment. You can reframe your experience in a way that doesn't actually change anything material about your circumstance, and it can let the light in. And there are many techniques like that that are just a matter of invoking useful concepts skillfully.